I've played through Scarlet and Violet too many times to count, and although I enjoy playing these games, I wanted to find a way to spice things up. So what better way to do that than by randomizing it? But that's not enough. Any regular viewer of the channel will know that I'm a huge fan of shiny hunting Pokemon. So in today's video, I'm going to be trying to be a hardcore Nuzlocke using only randomized shiny Pokemon. Let's jump into this. I start off my journey by meeting up with Nemona and Clavel to pick my starter Pokemon, and as all of these are shiny locked, I'll have to take any of them for the time being until I can start my shiny hunting endeavors. I decided to take Charmeleon, and holy sh! Why does he look like this? Well, great. I'm not sleeping tonight, am I? Terrifying arm lizards aside, we head down to the south of the lighthouse and find an outbreak of tiny little bears. Kubfu is a fighting type Pokemon and evolves into the powerful Urshifu, which is the perfect Pokemon to join me on this shiny only quest. Because I don't want this video taking as long as the pink shiny only video did, I'm going to be using shiny sandwiches and the shiny charm. So after about 30 minutes, we find a bear with a honey glazed muzzle beneath a tree. We catch him and name him Pepsi. And as powerful as Pepsi is, he can't handle everything on his own. So we venture out and pick up a familiar face. This is Toadscruel, who we're going to name Chai Tea.
Chai means tea, bro!
Alright. Chai it is. Gym 1 requires us to kick this massive bit of fruit around into a basket, and honestly, it was super easy, barely an inconvenience. And now we get to take on the first randomized battle of this video. That battle is with Katie, the bug type. Oh, Dedenne. Okay, cool. Chai comes in to handle this little fairy electric type. Dedenne wags its tail, lowering my defense, so we teach it a lesson by attacking its immune system with poison powder. We exchange attacks of Tackle and Mudlap before the inevitable poison takes down Katie's first Pokemon. Katie's next Pokemon was a bigger threat than I had anticipated, as she sends in Dragapult, who locks onto Chai from the beginning to assert its dominance. Chai couldn't care less if it tried, causing the Ghost Dragon to have a limited amount of time left on the battlefield. But after an exchange of attacks, an Assurance leaves Chai on 3 HP, which reassures me that we need to switch out. Pepsi takes an Assurance on entry, and then gets astonished on the following turn when he finds out that Katie isn't subscribed. What the fuck? And Aerial Ace finishes off Katie's Dragapult, which then sends in her Ace, the inevitable terastallizing, terrifying, horrifying, spine-chilling Gimmighoul. Oh. Great. We both terastallize Pepsi into a fighting type and Gimmighoul into a bug. Oh. Not like even the Terra types are randomized. Though Gimmighoul is now a Terra ground type. We focus our energy, and after a handful of rock smashes, we take down the sentient treasure box, winning us the first gym badge of the challenge. Our challenge stint isn't over yet though, as it's time to take on the first Titan. And from my experience, the Titans aren't able to be randomized. So we were quite lucky having 2 answers to Clorf. So naturally we allow both Pepsi and Chai to take down the massive crab. A few rock smashes later, and that's phase 1 dealt with. Arvin then accompanies me on the second phase with the Shelder. Or so you would think. Although it physically looks like a Shelder, it's actually a Vigoroth. Alright dude, I respect whatever you identify as. Regardless though, we take down Clorf with no issues. With Gym 2 coming up next, I decided I wanted to add a new member to the team. And with that in mind, I make a sandwich, and after about half an hour, this sparkly little guy shows up. He seems so happy to be next to his non-shiny counterpart. But Eevee isn't who I want, nay, who I need on my team. Ribbons evolves into his beautiful, elegant form, and now we have a nice, new, powerful, shiny Sylveon on the team. And with my team having its ultimate team member, we can now take on Brassius, the second gym leader. Pepsi leads in this fight against Brassius' Marie. We're able to get off a rock smash before getting paralyzed and hit by a thunder shock. We then switch into Chai, which is immune to electric type moves. Chai is able to get a free switch in due to its immunity, and after a few swifts, Marie goes down. Axew then takes the stage next, and we go back and forth with attacks until it goes down to a swift, leaving only Brassius' terastallizing Pokemon, Chansey. It terastallizes into a poison type. This really stumps us though, as Chansey now becoming a poison type means our poison powder doesn't do anything and we get hit by an echoed voice. But with another echoed voice tanked, we hit a stun spore paralyzing the toxic egg. We then hit a soft swift before getting smacked down to the red with yet another echoed voice. Ribbons tags in and takes an echoed voice, and then terastallizes into a normal type. We then hit a sand attack to lower the chance of echoed voice hitting, and our luck continues to reward us as Chansey gets fully paralyzed. But eventually, after throwing a whole beach load of sand into Chansey's face, essentially causing it the inability to see, we are able to take down Brassius' final Pokemon, which wins us the second gym badge. With the second gym badge now obtained, I was itching for more shiny hunting, so I go and look for my next team member. The first member to be recruited is Sprite, the shiny Goodra, and then Lipton, the shiny Artibax, swiftly follows. And with our new shiny friends added, we head towards our next obstacle. Bombardier, the Cocoa Pot dropping Titan, stands between us and our next badge. But before we head there, the gods of time and space have told me that you're not subscribed to the channel. Guys, what the hell? if you're this far into the video, you must be enjoying it. So why not consider subscribing? Thanks. Ribbons takes the lead in this battle and takes Bombardier down with ease after a few disarming voices. Phase 2 comes around, and with the damage taken in phase 1, Ribbons is in no state to fight. So Sprite switches in, and after terrestrializing and a few dragon breaths, we managed to take down the second Titan. We've dealt with gym leaders and we've conquered Titans, but another challenge stands in our way: Team Star. With my new group of shiny friends, nothing can stand in our way, right? Yakumo, unlike the Titans, does have a randomized team, his first being Dondozo, and to add insult to injury, it's raining. So water type moves get a boost in power. Pepsi starts off the battle strong though and hits a crit low kick, leaving Dondozo around the third. Dondozo then dives down, and with the knowledge of what the next attack is, I switch out Pepsi and bring in Sprite to tank the dive. But despite how bulky Sprite is, the dive nearly does half of its HP and damage. We then hit a Dragon Breath before Dondozo goes down for another swim. We then use Protect against the dive, which means we can get off another Dragon Breath on the following turn. Sprite barely doesn't take Dondozo out and then goes for a rest, regaining all of its HP. Dondozo then rinses and repeats until Sprite finishes off the giant fish with a Dragon Breath. The Starmobile takes the field and we use Protect to scout out its first move, which turns out to be its signature move, Wicked Talk. I then send in Ribbons, who gets a light tap by the Starmobile's Wicked Talk. My plan from here is to use Charm to harshly lower the Starmobile's attack, which means the attacks that Ribbons gets hit by will steadily get smaller and smaller in damage. Once Ribbons maxes out the attack drops with Charm, we hit a couple of disarming voices before having to switch out. Pepsi then hits a couple terror boosted low kicks and boom, the Starmobile gets sent to the repair shop and we win our first Team Star battle. Okay, quiz time. At the start of the video, who was the original Pokemon I picked as my starter? Don't go back. If you said Charmeleon, then you'd be right. And I'd never leave a Pokemon behind. So our next shiny Pokemon encounter is Charizard, who I named Dr. Pepper. And after a small treasure hunt for some lost items around Levincia, we head towards the gym where Dr. Pepper is raring to... Wake up! You're embarrassing me, dude! What the hell? Iona is really an icon. She's not only a streamer, but the start of the whole seaside town, which is crazy. Imagine being a full-time content creator and living near the sea. Oh hey, what are you doing here? I'm pretty sure we got a gym to do. Let's go. Dr. Pepper leads this fight and one-shots Iona's first Pokemon, Bagon, which in turn brings in a Spathra, who does some decent damage to Dr. Pepper with Psybeams. So after getting off a few hits, I switch him out. Sprite takes a Psybeam well on entry and then another on the following turn, after which we can hit a Dragon Breath, barely not taking out a Spathra. One more turn of Psybeam and Dragon Breath exchanges and Sprite comes out on top. Torkoal takes the stage next and we hit an Aqua Tail before it strikes back with a Rapid Spin. And in this gen, the speed stat is increased after this move hits, which is pretty cool. With that information in mind, I switch out into Chai on another Rapid Spin. But despite his stat increases, Chai is still faster and finishes off the Smoky Turtle with a Mud Shot. This leaves Iono's ace, Terra Spiritomb. Great. The Terra type for this gym is Psychic, and as soon as Spiritomb terrestrializes, it hits a payback. But Chai was fully prepared to tank this and counters back with a Stun Spore. Chai is then able to get off a couple of hits before fleeing back to the bench after a huge payback. My Shining Savior strides on in and takes a Shadow Sneak before screeching back with a disarming voice. Now, this strategy isn't something I'm proud of, and honestly it's quite scummy, but the game's the game. Ribbons has access to 2 moves, which is going to make Iona go crazy. Sand Attack to lower accuracy and Charm to lower attack. We spam Sand Attack until Iona is -6 and then do the same with Charms. Eventually, just to be safe, we switch into Lipton, and after terrestrializing ourselves, a few Icy Winds destroys Iono's ace, and that is gym badge number 3 acquired. I genuinely hate including the Team Star battles into these videos because they're just so tedious and boring, but this battle, this needs to be included. We start off the battle with Sprite against Mella's Electric, and to scout out what she's going for, we go for Protect, and this means we don't take damage from the incoming Spark. So Chai comes in for free as it isn't affected by Spark. We then exchange Poison type moves, Mela Acid and Chai Poison Powder, and after a few turns, a few Mega Drains and Electric goes down. This leaves the Starmobile, and thinking we could take a Blazing Talk, I go for Mud Shot, but alas, I was mistaken, and that gives us our first death in the run. Sprite then wants a piece of the action and terrestrializes for no reason, as we don't go for a Dragon Dance, but instead Surf. But between my Surfs, the Starmobile is getting off Screeches, and they actually become obsolete as Sprite gets struck down with a crit Blazing Talk. Wow, from 0 deaths to 2 in one fight. Mela has never been an issue before, until now I guess. Dr. Pepper isn't facing the same fate though, as it manages to tank a few Blazing Talks and finish off the Starmobile with a couple of Air Slashes. Oh, that was so much crazier than I could have expected. With 2 Pokemon gone but never forgotten, we need to recruit new phases, and the first to sparkle into our team is Mountain Dew, the Shootle, which instantly evolves into Dreadnought. And before we face off against a big red worm, we need to meet our last teammate, Milkshake the Rotom Fridge. Orthworm is the 3rd Titan and... Oh, Nice one, Dr. Pepper. I guess metal worms don't like global warming. Who knew? Kofu has lost his wallet and we need to play Amazon delivery here and return the item to the sender. And as a reward for making a successful drop-off, we pick up a scroll of darkness from the bidding war in the market. This scroll allows Pepsi to learn a new jutsu and unlock the Sage mode, evolving into Urshifu, which will give the team the boost in power it needs as we take on Gym 4. We need to make a statement with this battle, as our last trainer battle resulted in us losing 2 key members. But now with Pepsi in his ultimate fighting form, we are able to one-shot Luxio with a wicked blow. Zweilous then comes in and we switch into Ribbons, who handles the 2-headed dragon with a draining kiss. Kofu's aces Overquill, the Terra Steel type, but Mountain Dew wants to show off his strength, and after 2 Terra boosted Razor Shells, the 4th badge is ours. Just because we got half the gym badges obtained doesn't mean the action stops there. Atticus wants his say in all of this, and despite him looking like a Walmart Naruto villain, we can still hold our own. Pepsi enters Zen mode and sets up with bulk ups, whilst Carbink does minuscule damage. And once we're set up, Pepsi starts his Team Star Revenge Massacre. Carbink down, Dracolope down, Applin sliced and diced, Starmobile towed to the repair shop. It went so much better than our last Team Star battle. This randomized video has been a ton of fun so far, but you know what's even more random? Why you guys haven't liked and subscribed yet? You're this far into the video. It's free, and it helps out the channel a bunch. With that all dealt with, we have a gym badge to get.
Larry, I'm coming for you.
The battle starts off with Electric versus Mountain Dew. We protect to scout out what Larry has up his sleeve, and as predicted, it goes for Discharge, which means I switch out Mountain Dew for Pepsi. Pepsi takes 2 discharges along with getting paralyzed before barely not taking out Electric with a wicked blow. Milkshake tags in and tanks a discharge before taking out Larry's Pokemon with a Hex. Bruxious is in next and tries to pull out the plug, but luckily I went for a Thunder Wave instead. And after an exchange of Shockwaves and Aqua Tails, Milkshake comes out on top, but not before being struck down to the red. Larry sends in his last Pokemon and is told to step his game up a notch, which results in his Roly-Coly turning into a Dragon type. But before it can attack, we swapped into Mountain Dew, who took the incoming attack extremely well. Mountain Dew is getting really jealous of Roly-Coly's new hat and terrestrializes himself, and after 2 Razor Shells, Roly-Coly goes down and we earn our 5th gym badge. Before taking on the next gym in the gauntlet, we head back to the market where we partake in gambling. Yes, good old underage gambling. Winning the bidding gives me access to the Rotom catalog, which we use to stay in this form. Nice. Gym 6, the Pokemon Coliseum Battle Simulator, but Halloween themed. Rhyme starts the battle with Titan and Cloyster. I mean, 2 ice types in the snowy mountainside? No, I mean, that's kind of thing. Dr. Pepper and Ribbons comes out on my side, and Dr. Pepper singes Titan with a flamethrower, which also results in it getting burned. Cloyster Supersonic Mist, which gives Ribbons a clear target with Charm, which lowers Titan's attack by 2 stages, which can be seen as Dr. Pepper tanks an avalanche. One more flamethrower and Titan is reduced to a Sapuddle. That was such a stupid joke, I just realised to put that in the script. That's so stupid. Cloyster hits Dr. Pepper with a Razor Shell, leaving him low, but Ribbons hits back with a Draining Kiss, returning the favour. With my Charizard low, I switch into my Sentient Refrigerator, who takes a Razor Shell on entry, and Ribbons finishes off Cloyster with one more Draining Kiss. Rhyme has 2 Pokemon left, Bounsweet and Roaring Moon. Great. We terrestrialize a Pokemon each. Milkshake for me, and of course Roaring Moon for Rhyme. But it's not a Ghost type or an Ice type, but a Psychic type. But regardless of the terrestrializing, a single Dragon Claw finishes off my Rotom Fridge. Damn. Just after we got the catalogue as well. Ribbons, similarly to me, is confused and takes damage due to it, and then gets hit by crit Magical Leaf. Pepsi takes Rotom's place and gets hit by a huge Dragon Claw, but Pepsi survives and finishes the Ancient Dragon in one wicked blow. And yet again, Ribbons bonks itself, and then gets to touch some grass thanks to Bounsweet. A couple of Iron Heads later, and Rhyme is finally dealt with, but not without a casualty along the way. Damn, I knew I should have taken out that extended warranty. The loss of Rotom was still fresh, so I decided to go on a walk and, excuse me guys? I'm just trying to get past here and oh, hello there. I just want you guys to say hello to my little friend, Lemonade the Dratini. Now it's unlikely that she'll be used until she's fully evolved, but I couldn't not show her. Oh yeah, speaking of shinies I didn't mention, did I forget to mention that earlier in our adventure we met a shiny Spoink named Red Bull? He doesn't make too many appearances, but in fairness he does help take down the 4th Titan. Oh come on, you were terrestrializing everything! Oh, fine. Pepsi, Ribbons, handle this. If I was to ask you what was the worst pre-gym task in Pokemon, and you said Tulip's emotional spectrum practice, then me and you should go out for a drink because we have a lot in common apparently. And after suffering through that, we are able to compete for our 7th gym badge. Oh my. You know what? If this is the reward for taking on that tedious task, then I'll do it over and over again, just for the chance to be in this beauty's presence. No distractions. What was the thing that the Wildcats used to say?
Just keep your head in the game.
Alright, I'm ready. Let's do this. Tulip starts the battle with Hydreigon, and I send in my trusty partner Ribbons. He gets slammed to the floor with a body slam, but heals back up with a draining kiss, knocking out the Dragon Dark type in the process. With Tulip's Skrelp in next, I switch into Red Bull, who was able to tank a Poison Tail, and then she can finish off the Seahorse with a Psyshock. Kilowattrel was next to take the stage, and I see an opportunity here to hit a super effective move. And hit we do as Red Bull smacks the Flying Bird with a Power Gem, as it increases its speed with agility. It then uses Roost, which does two things: heals Kilowattrel, and then rids of its flying typing. So we go for a Psyshock before it switches out with Volt Switch. Bellybolt takes Kilowattrel's place and terastallizes into a Bug type, whilst I try and confuse it. But maybe I was the one confused, as a single discharge takes Red Bull down. Sorry bud, I didn't expect you to go down this way. Dr. Pepper comes in to avenge his fallen comrade by putting on his Chandelure hat, and uses the spell Confringo to destroy Tulip's ace. And then one last flamethrower, and we have, with casualties, managed to scrape by and secure the 7th gym badge. With only one gym badge left in this challenge, I make my way to the highest mountain in Paldea, where Grusha awaits our challenge. But on my way, I run into two new sparkly friends, Vimto the Dragalge and Cresselia, who I've nicknamed Cresselia. I entered the snowy mountainside with one thing on my mind.
Grusha, I'm coming for you.
I lead this battle with a Pokemon that's been with me since the beginning, Pepsi the Urshifu, and Grusha leads with Decidueye, who gets sent packing with a single wicked blow. And although I appreciate you a ton chill and play, you also face the same fate from my sparkly fighting bear. Same with Grusha's third Pokemon Toedscruel. Wow, this is going super well. Are we going to get a sweep with Pepsi? Let's find out. Grusha sends in his ace Mimikyu, and Mimikyu likes to party. It even brought its own hat, which looks a little poisonous to me, but you do you, dude. It outspeeds and hits Pepsi with a soft slash, and a wicked blow from Pepsi breaks the fake Pikachu's disguise. The spooky sock puppet proceeds to lower Pepsi's attack stat with Charm, which means a wicked blow barely doesn't take out the Mimikyu. But on the next turn, an Iron Head finishes the job, and that is the final gym badge obtained. Although we've managed to take down every gym in Paldea, there are still a few things I need to do before we can head to the Elite Four. I've never been a big fan of sushi, and well, hello there, my shiny metallic friend. Welcome aboard. Now, as I was saying, I don't like sushi, but apparently this big fish does. And this big fish is also the first half of the last Titan fight. But thankfully, after a few leaf blades from my futuristic Virizion, we managed to take down the Titan Dondozo. But the real Titan Tatsugiri gets amped up because of our previous battle and wants a piece of the action. Iron Leaves terastallizes and boosts its stats with Swords Dance, and 2 leaf blades later, and that is the final Titan down and out. The last chapter before we can take on the Elite Four requires us to take on 2 Team Star members. First up is Ortega. Iron Leaf sets up for free on turn 1 with Swords Dance as Sudowoodo fails a counter, but a head smash from it on the following turn smacks Iron Leaves down to under half. But 1 leaf blade later and Sudowoodo is out and Basculegion is in. But it is swiftly dealt with thanks to a super effective Night Slash. Jolteon is next out, and with it guaranteed to outspeed, Iron Leaf swaps into Pepsi. Pepsi tanks multiple hits from Pin Missile and watches as Jolteon boosts its speed with agility. But its stat boosts are in vain as Jolteon goes down to a wicked blow. The last Pokemon is the Fairy Starmobile, and Vimto is able to get it down to half before needing to switch out. Thankfully, Dr. Pepper is in fighting order and manages to take down the magical car with a couple of flamethrowers. Eri is the last challenge that stands between us and the Elite Four, and she starts off this battle with a little sus guy. Mountain Dew isn't concerned though and one-shots it with an ice spinner, but due to the ability Effect Spore, Mountain Dew ends up getting paralyzed. Chien Pao is the next threat, and with its ability Sword of Ruin, Mountain Dew's defense is lowered, and this is made even more apparent when Ruination takes Mountain Dew to below half. Smart Strike then returns the favor quickly and lowers Chien Pao's HP to the yellow as well. Mountain Dew is in no condition to stay in, so Pepsi tags in, and I get lucky as Chien Pao went for Sucker Punch, which failed due to me switching Pokemon. Ruination takes Pepsi to just above half, and Pepsi retaliates back with an Iron Head. Gosh, that was stressful, but luckily we don't have to face another legend like that again. Crocolock is next on Eri's roster, and a Wicked Blow barely doesn't take it out, whereas a Fire Blast leaves my starter on 1 HP. He only hung on because he remembered all the adventures we've been having throughout this journey, and he didn't want them to stop there. I'll not take in any more risk and call upon Dr. Pepper for some assistance. He avoids a Fire Blast on entry and finishes off the Spicy Croc with its own fire move. I can't imagine we'll have any more close calls like that as Eri sends in, son of a bitch, 2! Seriously, 2 Chien Paos. Luckily we have the type advantage here and Terastallize to get rid of our flying type. We can handle an incoming Icicle Spear before finishing off Eri's second legendary Pokemon with a Terra Flamethrower. And now thankfully this is the last time we have to deal with the Starmobile. It drives on in and hits Dr. Pepper with a high horsepower, leaving him low, but a Terra boosted Flamethrower takes the sentient car to just above half. Ribbons feels like it can handle the rest of the spell and takes a high horsepower on the chin before finishing off the Team Star saga with a final Moonblast. After finishing off the battle, I start heading towards the Pokemon League, but on my way I run into Thundurus, and it was sparkling with ambition, ready to join the team. I welcomed him with open arms, but forgot to nickname him. Whoops. Rika is the first to challenge me in this Elite Four gauntlet. No, not that Rika, but the usual user of ground types. But this time she starts the battle with Frogadier. I start with my shiny new metallic Dia and set up using electric terrain, which activates my Quark Drive. This gives a boost to my attack stat, and Rika's Frogadier uses Double Team to try and avoid its inevitable demise. A Leaf Blade swiftly handles the edgy frog before Rika's second Pokemon Cone Bee enters the battle arena. The single Psyblade deals with this tiny bee with ease. Rika has her own Paradox Pokemon, Great Tusk, but if it's not broke, don't fix it, and Psyblade takes that down as well. Jolteon flashes in next and sets up with agility, but goes down to another Psyblade as well. Rika's terrestrializing Pokemon is Drifblim, and as Ghost moves are super effective against 7-Up, I switch into Thundurus, the scout I watch it go for. Drifblim tears into an oddly fitting Ghost type, but instead of attacking, plays the long game and sets up a Tailwind to boost her speed. Drifblim is after vengeance though, and goes for a Destiny Bond to try and take down my Thundurus, but luckily my crunch only does half on this turn. Rika tries to hit another Destiny Bond but fails before she loses the battle to a crit Volt Switch from Thundurus. Poppy is next, and don't let her appearance fool you. She's been in trouble more times than I'd like to admit. She starts the battle with a legendary Pokemon, Chi-Yu, and I send in Ribbons. Ruination on turn 1 leaves Ribbons around half before he counters back with a Moonblast doing a decent amount. Chi-Yu then bounces into the air and avoids my next attack. I decided to switch into Thundurus here as he resists the incoming attack. Bounce does soft damage, but Thundurus was able to chip away at Chi-Yu thanks to the previously attached Rocky Helmet. Chi-Yu releases a huge fire plume, doing big damage and leaves Thundurus burnt as well. Despite the disadvantage that Thundurus now sits at, they still counter back with a Hammer Arm, destroying Poppy's first Pokemon. Pineco enters next and I need to switch out. I can still get some damage off though with Volt Switch, which would have taken out the sentient Pinecone if it wasn't for its sturdy ability. Lipton comes in and tanks a Double Edge, which results in Pinecone taking itself out. Grimmsnarl comes in and Lipton really can't do much here, but I terrestrialize anyway and go for an Icicle Crash, which nearly takes it out. After tanking a Foul Play, one more Icicle Crash and Poppy's third Pokemon goes down. Swalot is out next, and as I'm unaware of what this Pokemon is capable of, I go for a Glade Rush, which does massive damage but not quite enough to take it out. Luckily, Swalot only goes for Gastro Acid, which means we can swap out the Pepsi on a Sludge Bomb. One Wicked Blow later, and down goes Timu Muck. Poppy's last Pokemon is a massive threat, a terrestrializing Baxcalibur. It terrestrializes into a Bug type, which resists my incoming Wicked Blow, and a Dragon Claw leaves Pepsi in the red. Dr. Pepper tags in and takes a Dragon Claw down to the yellow before leftovers, but a single Flamethrower and Dr. Pepper singes the Terra Bug type, and that's half the Elite Four conquered. Fan favourite Larry is our third opponent in this series of continuous battles, and starts the battle off on a strong foot with Heatran, and I bring in my own legendary with Thundurus. My first attack, Hammer Arm, misses, allowing Larry to hit a big Lava Plume, leaving Thundurus below half. I switch into Pepsi next and he also gets struck down to below half, but luckily Pepsi is quick and outspeeds on the next turn to take Heatran out with a close combat. Finneon is sent out next, which gives me a good opportunity to set up, so I send in 7-Ups. Finneon also sets up though with a Tailwind, and before I can even get a hit off, they switch out with a U-turn, doing decent damage. Snova comes on in to replace Finneon as I set up an electric terrain. Psyblade barely doesn't take out Snova as it counts back with a Blizzard, leaving 7-Up in the red, but thankfully one more Leaf Blade leaves Larry with one less Pokemon. The Tailwind also ends on that turn as well, meaning a Leaf Blade can deal with Finneon easily. Fracture enters the electrified field next, and I read the move well as I swap into Ribbons on an Outrage, which does nothing thanks to my Fairy typing. Fracture then misses a Giga Impact and Ribbons blasts it off the field with a Moonblast. Larry then sends out his final Pokemon, a blast from the past, Hisui and Voltorb. We both terrestrialize, Ribbons with its newly acquired Terra Fairy, and Voltorb into a Dark type, which is such a blessing because one more Moonblast and that's Larry's Pokemon down, and this leaves only Hassel. Hassel leads his final battle off the Elite Four with an Iron Bundle, and I send in my starter Pepsi, who gets smacked down to the yellow with an Ice Beam, but Pepsi stays cool under pressure and retaliates with a powerful close combat, taking down the Metal Delibird. Pachirisu is next to come out, and I predict an electric type move, so I send in Thundurus to counter it, and I was right. Wow, even I'm surprised. Pachirisu's Super Fang leaves Thundurus with half HP, but our Rocky Helmet does chip damage before a weak Crunch leaves Hassel's Pokemon on above half. Thundurus smacks the Electric Squirrel down to the red with a Hammer Arm, and Pachirisu strikes back with another Super Fang, but due to my Rocky Helmet, Pachirisu goes down. Paldean Wooper is next out, so I switch out Thundurus for Dr. Pepper. Wooper is having trouble remembering if it's subscribed or not, as it uses Amnesia. Dr. Pepper then hits a weak Dragon Breath before getting severely poisoned by Toxic. The next few turns we exchange a few weak attacks until Dr. Pepper comes out on top with a Dragon Breath. I need to swap Dr. Pepper out as it's been taken down to the yellow due to the poison, but not before Roaring Moon swoops in. So naturally I send in Ribbons, who gets swiped by a Night Slash. Ribbons terrestrializes as Roaring Moon dances like a dragon, but it was in vain as a single Moonblast obliterates the Roaring Moon. Gardevoir is Hassel's ace, and she puts on her hat to make her a ground type. She's able to stay calm in the situation thanks to the move Calm Mind, which raises her special stat. Ribbons' Moonblast proceeds to do less than I had hoped though. Psychic leaves the Channel Mascot in the yellow before Ribbons can hit hit back with a soft Moonblast. 7-Up tags in and takes a Calm Mind boosted Moonblast, which leaves them above half before lefties. 7-Up is then able to outspeed and slash Gardevoir in half with a super effective Leaf Blade, winning us the final battle of the Elite Four. After this long randomized adventure, we finally arrive at the champion battle. Will my team and I be able to earn the title of champion? Let's find out. Geeta starts off the battle with... Oh, come on, bro, what the fuck? Well, it's a good thing I led with Ribbons against this box art legend. Koraidon boosts its speed with agility, but Ribbons doesn't care and one-shots the prehistoric dino with a Moonblast. Geeta's team of powerful Pokemon doesn't stop there though, as she sends in Lucario. I'm not taking the risk and switching to 7-Up, which tanks a Meteor Mash. 7-Up sets up an electric terrain, but gets smacked by another Meteor Mash in the process, down to the red before leftovers. A Psyblade is then able to take out Lucario on the next turn. Tinkertuff enters next, and 7-Up can't do diddly squat here, so he tags in Dr. Pepper, who takes a soft Skitter Smack on entry. 2 flamethrowers later and Tinkertuff is down as well. They did manage to get off a knockoff though, meaning Dr. Pepper doesn't have leftovers anymore. Geeta's team seems to be getting smaller and smaller as they come out because she proceeds to send in Shoulder, and although I'm confident Dr. Pepper could take a hit, I'm going to switch into Thunderous. It's a good thing I did too because the tiny shell unleashes a massive Hydro Pump, but a Thunderbolt deals with Shoulder with no issues. My theory about Geeta's Pokemon team sizing seems to be right though, as a Fungus waddles in next and Thunderous hits a Volt Switch so that Lipton can come in, but on entry gets poisoned by Toxic. Lipton terrestrializes and finishes his tiny mushroom with an Icicle Crash, leaving what I can only assume is a Tynamo. And, Glimmet? Hold on. Ah, damn it, Glimmet, you're 50 centimeters bigger. You ruined a perfectly good thing we had going on here. Fine, you can terrestrialize and then get obliterated by a single Glaive Rush, which means Geeta's team has been defeated and we have earned the title of champion. Now, technically, we have 6 battles left before we can complete this run, and the rival fights, despite them being satisfying and conclusive, to me they seem quite repetitive. So in this time, I'm going to be asking you, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. And I also want to ask you a question as well. I want to expand on the type of content I do here on the channel. Some of my long-time viewers may have noticed how little I upload on here, and that's purely because of how long these videos take to record and edit. It is mostly because I edit for other YouTubers, which takes up a ton of my time. So here's my question. I want to upload more frequently, but what type of Pokemon content should I upload? Please do let me know down in the comments below. It would be super helpful. I would love to hear your feedback. Anyway, with that out of the way and the rivals dealt with, let's head down to Area 0 and finish this challenge off. Sada is arguably the toughest fight in this game. Let's see how this randomizer fight holds up. Sada starts off the battle with Jigglypuff, not the Paradox form, but still pink and spherical. So I send in 7-Up. Naturally, I set up using electric terrain, and Jigglypuff was inspired by my electrifying moves and uses Mimic to copy it, but unfortunately it doesn't prevent it from being taken down by a Psyblade on the following turn. Bayonet is next, and one Night Slash later, and the Ghost type goes poof. Now this is the downside of Switch randomizers. When it comes to important battles, there will sometimes be Pokemon like this. Anyway, now that's more like it. Garchomp stomps in and sets up a Sandstorm, but after hitting 2 Dragon Claws, 7-Up survives on 17 HP and finishes off the scaly Landshark with a handful of Leaf Blades. Slowbro is Sada's penultimate Pokemon, so I swap into Thunderous. Slowbro changes up the weather with Rain Dance and then goes down instantly to a single Thunderbolt. With Slowbro down, Sada has one more powerful Pokemon for us to defeat, and